Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast, with your hosts, Mike Mannino and Nareman Hamdan, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hey guys, I'm Nareman Hamdan, and this is Driven Unscripted Success Podcast. We've got a great guest on today. We have Mike Karp, and he is one of the co-founders of Zoozah. He has been in the technology industry for over 5 years, and his area of expertise is in leadership, innovation, business strategy, and a few other things that he's going to fill us in on. How are you, Mark?
I'm well. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for taking the time to come on. Why don't we kick things off with, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you got to where you are?
Certainly. So at this point, we're very proud of where Zoozah is, and effectively we are combining three different services and bringing them to the market all as one package. So we combine home and lifestyle concierge with licensed home inspections and proprietary technology app in the background. And it's really the confluence of those three factors together that's disrupting kind of the home watch and home minding industry. And to get there, we had to go through many iterations. So we're very proud of kind of where we are now. It's taken 2 years to get to this point, and now we're really ready to kind of open up and scale. And so how we got here is a very long question that I'm happy to dive into in varying degrees of detail. But I guess the quick version is I was fortunate enough to graduate with a master's degree in information systems. While I was working through my master's degree, I also opened the Math Learning Center for kids in the town that I grew up in, Cedarhurst, New York. So I've always had kind of a passion for starting businesses and helping the community. And then after graduating with my master's degree, I was able to get a job at a fintech company in New York City called FactSet Research Systems, great fintech company. From there, I got to work in Manhattan, and they moved me to LA, and then I wound up moving down here to Florida. I was able to get scooped up by a company called 24/7 Software. They make the operating system for most of the sports and entertainment venues that you could think of in terms of like major league, like NFL, NHL, MLB, NBA. And if you ever go to one of those games or concerts and shows and think about how do they manage and run all of this, well, over 80% of them are using the software called 24/7 Software to bring those events and the venues to life and keep the management there. So from that point, after building analytics and integrations for that company, I was lucky enough to meet my co-founder. My mom actually sold him his house as he was moving down to Florida from New York, which is one of the key themes that we've been seeing. And he had this idea for a property services business, and I kind of came at it from a tech angle. And so we kind of combined forces, and I'm very fortunate to have him as my co-founder. He's a licensed attorney and an interior designer. And so that certainly aided what we've been up to here, but kind of getting together and combining my tech background with his interior design capabilities and his property services idea really transformed Zoozah into what it is today.
That's fantastic. So how do you deal with taking risks? Is there a time when rolling the dice really worked out for you?
So I think 100% you have to take risks, because the biggest risk is to do nothing at all.
Sure.
And so if you just don't do anything, right, that's actually a decision that you're making. So I think having a bias toward action is really important, and just getting in there and executing. And now when we're taking risks, you have to take measured risks in our estimation, and also in a way that you can iterate quickly. And so coming from my software development background, they often use the term fail fast, and nobody wants to fail. But if you're going to fail, you'd rather it be sooner than later so that you can collect the data and kind of move on. And so
Sure.
I'd say, one example in my previous company at 24/7 Software, where we did take a risk, is we had to invest in building out an analytics suite that there wasn't a market for at that point. We're effectively creating the venue analytics market. And so that took a year to design, scope, build out a go-to-market strategy. And so that's one of the examples where this company, 24/7 Software, was doing amazing, but there's a gap in the market that they identified. And if they didn't go after it, somebody else was going to go after it. So yes, there was a risk in that it was a green, fresh new product, but that ultimately allowed them to capitalize on this huge market opportunity that they already had the data for anyway.
Sure. So Everyone hits a bump in the road every now and then. Can you share a time where things didn't pan out and how you got through it?
Yeah, certainly. So I think, again, if we go back to 24/7 software, when I first got there, I was brought on to build one particular product. And the company had spent, several years researching that product and coming up with a design and already had put, some technical effort and development into bringing that to life. And so ultimately, after my arrival, we kind of took a fresh look at this product that had been years in development and determine that, this product isn't going to work out. It's going to take too long to bring it to market, right? And that's where we come back to kind of the iterate fast. And so we said, okay, this product isn't going to make it. How do we achieve the next level of growth that this company needs, right? And so you kind of have several different types of companies. You have the startup, and then you have the scale up, and then you have one to make it to enterprise. So this company was in a very heavy scale mode. And so we hit that bump in a road. This product that the company had been planning for years, wasn't going to pan out in the way that they wanted it. So instead of just saying, okay, we're going to pause and not do anything and let somebody come in and continue to drive the market that we're trying to build, they said, okay, what is the next product that we can build? And that's kind of what launched us into starting to do the research on the analytics and integrations that we wanted to drive there.
Sure. So, what's a skill or habit you think doesn't get enough credit for contributing to your success?
I think curiosity is probably the most important one, especially nowadays. And I've been through, several different industries. When I first graduated college, I was in recruiting. And so at that time in 2010 was kind of around the market crash. And I was curious about all the jobs that were getting funded by Wall Street and by big software companies at the time. And so being curious led me to doing research and understanding more about it and thinking, this is really where the market's going. I should go and get a master's degree. And so that research and that curiosity led me to pursuing a master's degree in information systems. And I'm very thankful for that. But at the same time, while I was doing and working that degree, I was also continuously doing side learning on my own. And so I have about 20 different certifications on my LinkedIn profile for learning that I did even outside of the master's program. And so continuing to foster that curiosity about whatever it is that interests you, you're going to find that there's crossovers in whatever business opportunities you have to bring that experience to life in solving whatever other problems you might be faced with. This is something that Elon Musk does throughout his companies pretty often, is because he's kind of tied into manufacturing and then software deployment. He brings the best practices that he learns in one core area over to the other core area, and it becomes a superpower. And so that's certainly something that I would recommend to everybody, is just understand what you're curious about and spend your time honing that capability. And it's going to be much easier to spend time on things that you enjoy anyway. So definitely curiosity is one of those key skills I would call out.
Absolutely. I just had a guest on right before you, and that was the exact same thing she said, was curiosity. So and you're both in the tech field, so it's kind of interesting how your mind works and how it maps things up to, have the same conclusion. That's pretty cool.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So
love that answer also. Sorry, just to add
yeah.
that, because right, we have the same answer, but then we can be personalized and targeted in the way that we both attack,
Yes.
right? And so it's not something that becomes cookie cutter. It really
Yes.
becomes a growth engine for individualization.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So leading a team has its challenges. What's your leadership style? And can you give us an example of how it helped you through a tough spot?
Certainly. I'd say Elon Musk is a big hero of mine, as he is for, I'm sure, a lot of people. And so when you think about leadership styles, there's, a simple way to put it would say you could lead from the back, you could lead from the middle, or you could lead from the front, right? And each of them has their advantages and disadvantages. And so for me, I really try to lead from the middle, because that's how you're going to continue to feel the pulse of the business, the pulse of what actually needs to get done, and also be able to step in when it's really critical. And as a CEO, you shouldn't be stepping into other people's work unless you really need to, or unless it's critical, or it's time to make an HR type of decision. But I think being able to lead from the middle, let's say you have to go on Shark Tank the next day. If you're leading from the back or you're leading in the front, you might not be able to have that pulse on the business and the numbers that you want and the direct involvement in what you're trying to do. And so a great Elon Musk story was he was, trying to figure out this engineering challenge, and the person just wasn't able to keep up with him. And he excused the person and he said, okay, that's fine that you can't do this. You're going to move away for the day, and I'm going to step in and I'm going to actually execute on that. And so him being able to do that, right, that's because he understands the technical capability
Right.
of what he's trying to deliver, and also where the business is now and what's that key problem that needs to be solved to drive that business forward, not in a year, not in a month, but today, right? And how do we
Right.
get these cycles where we're finding and fixing those problems that are going to unlock the real value of what we need to drive the business forward?
Sure. How do you, or actually, let me ask you, when you're building your dream team, what's the one trait you always look for and why?
Oh man, that's a really good question and a really tough question. I wish there was a word that kind of combines integrity and intelligence.
Sure.
Somebody should make a word that combines those two things, because I don't think that you can really hire someone without either. So I'm sorry that I can't answer your question directly, but
Sure.
I think it's so important for people to just have integrity as a baseline. That should just be a given. But then if you have integrity, but you can't execute on whatever that task is, that's great that you're a great person, but that's not necessarily what the business needs, right? And if you have intelligence without integrity, look out, because that's a real problem. And so I think it's really the combination of those two key factors that I look for when I'm trying to hire.
Absolutely. Um, so how do you encourage your team to think outside the box and bring new ideas to the table?
I think it's you have to model that the best idea wins, and it's not about me and it's not about you, it's about the company. And
Sure.
it's right, when you think about sports, and you think about the 1980s Olympics, the coach from that had a great speech, and one of his points was the name on the front is a lot more important than the name on the back, right? And so we're all playing for that same team, for that name on the front. And so I try to model that by coming up with ideas and contributing myself to the business on a day-to-day basis, but allowing the team room to throw out their ideas also and beat my ideas when they're better, because it's really
Sure.
about the best idea winning. And so it's just, and again, I think that ties back to the leading from the middle, is oftentimes showing people how you want them and how you would want to be treated, right? That's the kind of company that I would want to work for. I would want to work for a company where if I wasn't the CEO, my idea was taken in a way that it could actually be executed because I'm on the ground and I'm seeing what needs to be done, right? And so empowering employees to make the decisions that are going to ultimately impact their subject area that they're overseeing. They have better line of sight into what's actually happening there on the ground, better than me or better than other managers in the business. So they should be iterating, they should be innovating, and they should be bringing the ideas to us, because
Sure.
they're the ones that have the best visibility there.
Absolutely. And what does a day in your life look like? How do you juggle work and everything else?
So a day in my life looks like getting up early, helping my wife with our two young boys that are amazing and crazy all at the same time. And then they're at school. I get to come to my nice office, which we're very proud of. And oftentimes it's meeting with my co-founder that is working on several large design engagements at the same time. I also am effectively functioning as several C-suite positions all at once. So handling the HR for the company, handling the finance for the company, making sure all of our
Sure.
books are reconciled, and kind of just going through the baseline administrative tasks that I need to do just to kind of keep the company being in compliance with all of the major items that we need to be in compliance with. And then I get very excited for once I get through all of that and get to dive into my own area of expertise, which is in the technology. And so kind of on my screen here in the background, I have 3 agents running, writing 3 different applications that we're ultimately going to be able to deploy in the business. And so, like we mentioned, it could be recruiting, it could be, running background checks. But now that we have our concierge service line and we have our home inspection service line, the next item that really needs to be bolstered is our technology capabilities. That's what I'm very excited about. We were able to deploy our app to the App Store in less than a month with all of these crazy, technical capabilities and the way that they're available to the market at this point. And so we're just very excited about the speed with which we can execute now moving forward.
That's exciting. So it's fair to say you're not busy at all.
No, not at all.
So how has there been a book, a podcast, or someone that's really changed your outlook or approach?
I'd say there's been so many, and one of my prior mentors, he was so talented at go to market. Matt Dobersevich, such a talented and good individual. And one of the lessons that he brought me was, yes, you can have ideas, but you have to get to market and you have to listen to the market. And so, over the almost 20-year career that I've had, in different industries, I've learned from a lot of different people, but oftentimes it's looking at the innovators and the disruptors over the last 30 to 40 years, and how they've been able to build brands and lasting product value and execution over a rapidly shifting landscape. And I think we're just going to see that landscape shift accelerating. And so being able to understand a Steve Jobs perspective, but marry that to an Elon Musk efficiency, I'd say, right, kind of the same way that I gave you the integrity intelligence answer. I'd say the Steve Jobs, Elon Musk is my answer in terms of like the influence that I try to bring to the market, where you still have that brand, you still have that aesthetic feel, but there has to be that efficient, ruthless execution that's underpinning everything.
Absolutely. So, managing finances is crucial both in business and in personal life. How do you approach financial planning to ensure stability and growth in both areas?
I think it's one of those items that's just like, it's kind of table stakes, and you just need to have the plan in place. You need to have that box checked the same way with all of your taxes and your compliance forms, and financial planning is just part of the business, right? Without cash is effectively the blood of the business. So you need to understand what's the blood pressure, right? And have continuous monitoring on that. So being able to have visibility at least a year out from a runway perspective, I think is always very key. But then having your goal towards, at some point you're going to need further funding, right? Until you're self-sustaining in a startup world, right? We're very heavily in the tech kind of enabled property services startup world. So always understanding where you are now, what's your runway, what's your revenue goals, are you hitting those goals? And then are you positioning your execution of those goals to unlock the next round that you're actually driving toward? And so you always need to have that plan in place and be measuring towards, okay, how much runway do we have left? And at what point am I starting to fundraise so that I can unlock my next round based on the KPIs that I've been able to hit where I am right now?
Sure. So it sounds like things are going well for you and your company, your business. As you're looking towards the future, I'm wondering if or how you create passive income or if you have invested in the past.
So at this stage in the business, really we're turning, property management into a SaaS model. And so having our tech-enabled service delivery with our boots in the ground, at some point, this will, please God, become a passive income stream for me. But at this stage, we're still very heavily in full-on execution mode, and I'm right in there in the weeds trying to deliver on all of the products that we want to bring to market and our service delivery goals. But as you look at some of the products that are coming out now with like a lovable type of coding capability or an anti-gravity, I think there's really a ton of opportunity to be able to create new kinds of courses to teach people how to leverage AI both in business and in their personal lives. And if we think about kind of tech in general, and where AI is now, when I was at TechCrunch in San Francisco a couple of months ago, one of the points that a lot of the individuals that were making is that this is all exciting, but this is really just like the bottom of the first inning of AI. And so, yes, we have the chatbots now, but what is AI morphing into? And so I think there's more capability than ever for creators to create their own technology, even without having a master's degree in information systems, and just being able to really specify what it is that you're trying to build and go ahead and build it and have fun with it. So I think there's so much opportunity with that, and I'm excited about that.
That is pretty exciting. So as we're wrapping up the interview, what exciting plans or initiatives do you have in the works for the next 6 to 12 months? What do you got going on?
So we're super excited that we're now bringing licensed home inspections to the home minding or home watch market. If you look across the market in general there, that's really, in our estimation, what's been missing from turning home minding or home watch into a scalable category. Usually in these kind of large high net worth communities, you have that one person that goes around and checks people's houses. But we think that this industry hasn't been disrupted for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and nobody's really brought technology into it. So what we're really excited about is automating as much of the home lifecycle workflow as possible. And so I'll give you just like a brief example. We're building a tool right now that'll let our clients connect their email to our platform and forward on any types of bills that they might be receiving for their properties. And often our clients are high net worth and they have multiple properties across the country, if not across the world. And so for them, keeping all of their maintenance plans in place, keeping all of their bills in place, that can get unwieldy, keeping all of their warranties. When is this one expiring? Who's my vendor for this property? And being able to centralize and automate that all into one place. So we're effectively building automations to get all of that into a single pane of glass that our clients can view in one instance what's happening with their property across the world. And then also being able to offer that same tool to other property managers or asset managers that might want to provide that same level of visibility to their clients. So that's just one example. And then we'll continue to build on further integrations so that we can kind of do even more financial analysis and budgeting and matching. And then what we're really, really excited about, and this is maybe more towards the 12 to 18 month timeline, is building out a healthy home product. And so the same thing now that there's all this hype about optimizing the health of the human body, which we're very happy about, a big part of optimizing the health of a human body is where that body actually is existing. And so we don't think that there's been enough focus on optimizing the health of a home. And so with our continuous maintenance plans and my IoT technology background, we want to be able to marry those two worlds of IoT integrated sensors that could live throughout the home that's measuring humidity, pressure, air temperature, water usage, combining that with home service records like how much water did I actually use on my FPL bill, or when was the last time that the HVAC maintenance guy was here, and bring all of those factors together to provide a homeowner real visibility into what is the status of the health of their home and the people that are living in it. So I'd say that's like our stretch product that we're really excited about.
That is pretty exciting, and there isn't anything out there like it, and it is needed. I mean, what an easier way to be able to track the maintenance of your home.
Exactly.
Essentially, I mean, it's pretty clever. Yeah, well done. That's really clever.
Well,
so I always like asking this question. If you had one bit of advice for someone wanting to follow in your footsteps, what would it be?
Just keep doing the next right thing. I think as long as you just keep doing the next right thing, it's not always going to be clear how things are going to work out, but as long as you know for yourself that you're making that right decision and you're making that from a place of integrity, everything's going to be okay.
That's great advice. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Mark. I really enjoyed learning about your business and how you got to where you are today. If anyone wanted to get a hold of you or your services, how does one find you?
You could find us at Zoozah.com, and you can also feel free to email me at mike@Zoozah.com as well. And so really appreciate you having me on the show, and it's been a great pleasure to speak with you today.
Likewise, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time. So if you want to get a hold of Mark and his services, just you can email him or go onto his website, and I'm sure they can find you on LinkedIn as well.
100%.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.